All right, first video back in months, and we are questioning long-held traditions of the hobby and talking about AI art. What could go wrong? Welcome back to MapCrow, the RPG art show. My name is Kyle, and today we are talking about Mythic Bastionland and its procedure for making hex maps. Chris McDowall is one of my favorite game designers working today. He created Into the Odd and Electric Bastionland and is working on several projects, including a playtest version for Mythic Bastionland, which is a game that draws a lot of inspiration from old hex crawling in Dungeons & Dragons, as well as the earlier editions of King Arthur Pendragon, which was first designed by Greg Stafford in 1985. Now, to closely study Chris's work on Mythic Bastionland, I have made these worksheets that I'm also making available in a Google Drive link in the description below. So you have as many rules as I can fit into the right-hand margin, and also a blank hex map for you to draw your realms in. Mythic Bastionland is in active playtesting and revision right now, so rules are changing rather rapidly, and all of these procedures for this may in fact not be around in the final version of the game. So I have actually written in which playtest version these sheets were designed for, and if I notice significant changes happening along the way, I may in fact update these sheets, or I may wait until the final release of the game, so I won't actually have to continue to come back and double check that I've copied and pasted everything properly. By the way, I think this is a great way to learn a new game, to go through the rules and make some kind of quick reference guide or worksheet for your preparation for the game. It kind of causes you to reorganize the information instead of just making assumptions about what you're reading and, misremembering rules. But if you don't have a reading disability like I do, maybe you don't need to do that kind of thing. Oh, while we're on the subject, I get lots and lots of comments about these foam tubes that I use for extended drawing periods with my pencils. These grip extenders are designed to reduce the strain on my wrist and maintain the health that I still have. And oftentimes, if you see somebody using some kind of strange tool at their work, it might be an ability aid, just something to keep in mind. Anyway, one of the things that I love about Mythic Bastionland is something that has come up in several of Chris's previous books, which is really simple, elegant procedures for creating adventure locations, for, mapping the countryside, or mapping the underground tunnels beneath Bastionland, or mapping city boroughs that are full of all of these multi-purpose, layers of history in a dense urban area. And Mythic Bastionland is squarely pointed at the hexcrawl as the primary means of communicating exploration and adventure locations. And it has this really wonderful, simple procedure for kind of going through and starting with a blank hex grid and filling it in with all kinds of cool fantasy BS that you can then run your game from. If you want to see the full rules for yourself, I strongly encourage you to check out Chris's blog and kind of see all of the discussions that are happening in the playtest as revisions are made and opinions are shared. And I'll have a link to Chris's YouTube channel and blog in the description below. Now, you may notice that throughout this whole mapping process, I am just simply writing quick words, drawing some triangles and squiggly lines, and this is to save time because this is just for the GM notes. This is not something that the players are going to interact with. This is purely behind the DM screen, so to speak. But of course, this being an art channel, I am going to provide a page for the player map, which I'm going to draw up to be somewhat more pretty and approachable. And that is also in the template. This isn't really a tutorial video. I'm not talking about my drawing process in this particular video as I have before. But if you're interested in drawing overland maps and want some really solid instruction, I would like to suggest a zine to you. And this isn't a sponsorship. I'm not getting paid to say this. I just love this zine. It's called Flick Silverpen's Guide to Making Maps, and it is by my colleague and pal, JP Coovert, who also has a YouTube channel that is all about drawing maps and making zines and making cool pictures for people you care about and people you'll never meet. The zine shows how to use simple dot textures and simple shapes and little curvy lines to make a whole D&D world. I will have a link to JP's YouTube channel and store page in the description below. Circling back to Mythic Bastionland, it's filled with handy procedures to conquer that blank page while you're drawing the map. And the final step is to add what are called myths to the map. These myths are the whole point of this game. You are traveling around trying to solve these mysteries. Now, there are all kinds of amazing myths that are provided for you, even in the playtest. There's like 24 different myths, and there's going to be even more in the final product, we are assured. It's designed to offer a simple to run experience that will still hold up to a long campaign or, multiple games without seeing the exact same thing. And this is where I think the brilliance of the design of this game really shines. Because if you're going to run a hexcrawl, the game needs to critically engage with the hex map and the travel of it and the exploration of it and the uncertainty of what could be in each hex, what could be just on the other side of those mountains or just across that river. And all of the other phases and actions that you can take during travel and exploration all tie back to that central tension, that you are uncertain where this thing is that you're supposed to solve, and time is of the essence. There is a sense of urgency and a narrow set of choices to drive the story along instead of relying on some optional procedures buried in the Dungeon Master's Guide. This game puts travel and exploration and investigation of these myths front and center, and it doesn't let you forget it. Now, people say that games can do anything, but the truth is that people can do anything, and games do what their systems are designed to do. And you can either engage with those systems or not. Just don't give credit to the game for a system it doesn't really have and play it doesn't support. Now, this is where I have to say that I really hesitated about talking about this game because although I love its design, the playtest manual uses a lot of AI art as placeholders. Now, I have been following this playtest from the very beginning, and back then when it first started, the dialogue around AI art and its impact on the living that artists can make and all of these other ethical concerns about where the data is coming from and, copyright issues, all of that dialogue really hadn't happened quite yet. I give Chris kind of a pass on something that would normally be a real deal breaker for me. Also, Chris has said in multiple places, multiple times, that this is in fact just placeholder art and that a real human artist is going to be announced, sometime soon. So I'm really looking forward to that. And if that ends up not happening and this game ships with a bunch of AI art in it, it's gonna break my heart. I think a lot of the legal and ethical concerns of AI art are in the process of being solved right now. I think that, people are going to be able to exploit art that they legally own in vast libraries. I mean, we're already seeing some companies who happen to own a lot of stock images and illustrations already able to kind of solve some of those concerns. But even if you get rid of all of that, the remaining concern that I have for AI art is this. It is a meat grinder for context and the chain of attribution. People learn from each other. This is the thing that we do better than almost anything else. And when you look up your favorite artist, oftentimes you can ask them or listen to an interview with them or read about them and find out who taught them. Who did they look at? Who did they copy? Who inspired them in the first place to do what they do? And you can then go look up the answers to those questions. You can go look up the heroes of your hero and go back even further and further until you have just this giant network of artists talking to each other over the course of human history. Art is a conversation that you are always just showing up in the middle of, and you can only find your place in that conversation to add something more to it, to problematize this thing, to contribute this, to make these connections if you can trace back where that conversation maybe started, where it came from. That is the chain of attribution, to be able to attribute where you got your ideas from. And AI ain't gonna do that. AI is going to be foisted on us by the biggest corporations in the world as a black box that spits out exactly what you want every time. And it is going to launder the labor and creative efforts and conversations and dreams and lives of the artists who have been pilfered to make that happen. It is a tool like any other, except that it erases the people that make it. And that is a garbage way for the developers of this technology to treat the human beings they require to make their business work. At a moment in history where we can reach across history and culture and see so much of it and share so much of it and build more of it. And AI art would erase all of that for convenience and greed. So yeah, I'll be a little miffed if this placeholder art makes it to print. I know I got a little hot under the collar there, and I really do encourage you to go out and check out all of Chris's work. Like I said, Chris makes my favorite games, and Mythic Bastionland is something I am greatly anticipating, and one of the reasons for it is because it offers so many accessible tools for planning your game. It is made for people. It is not designed to be run optimally on some kind of subscription web service, for instance. I know it's naive to think that we can have a nuanced conversation about these powerful tools and paradigm shifts here on youtube.com, but please just be mindful in the comments, and certainly don't go harass Chris. Slow down and recognize that while many AI tools are going to be designed exclusively to improve the quality of life of peoples of different ability levels and ableness, a lot of it is really scary to a lot of people who are trying to just make a living in this mixed up world of ours. But that is it. That is the first Map Crow in so long. I think you can tell that I've been percolating on some of these ideas for a while, and I'm just so glad to finally have my summer before me and looking forward to making many more videos for you soon. So until next time, my friends, farewell. And welcome to the Aftercrow. I want to send a special thank you to all of my patrons who continued to support me while I had to take a lot of time away from the channel. This past semester of teaching was the hardest I have ever had to go through, and that includes when I was teaching during the early pandemic, which was very scary to do without health insurance at the time. But I also found it the most rewarding and maybe one of the best years I've been alive. It was full of challenges and triumphs and moments of rapid growth and curious experimentation. And I just really hope that you continue to support me as I try to bring that energy and enthusiasm and spirit of investigation to this channel. So again, thank you to everyone who backed me up during this semester. In the meantime, we have a lot to work on this summer. We have Monstrous, which is launching its crowdfunding campaign later this fall, and we're getting a lot of sketches and writing done in between so we can show you as much of that book as possible before we pass around the hat. So we can expect lots of painting and drawing videos for that art coming up soon. And all of the sketches and ideation process are going to be more thoroughly documented on the Secret Sketchbook level reward on the Patreon, so look forward to that. And John and I continue to work on our podcast Splat Book, and that has been something that's been coming out consistently, specifically because John has been so kind to take over editing duties. So if you need more MapCrow, that's where to find it. All right, I'll talk to you soon and look forward to a video next week.